nothing wrong with relief care. But if you're also looking for the underlying causes, conditions, your relief care will be chronic. You'll just always be on it. And by the way, if the underlying causal factors are downward spiraling, you'll need stronger medication and stronger medication and stronger medication just to get you back to normal.
Yeah.
And so that's just not our approach, you know.
Well, and what I love about what you're talking about is I feel like I have to be really careful because I don't want to, I'm not saying all doctors are bad. I am not anti-medication. I'm not anti, because I think that there are times when those things are helpful. But one of the problems that we've had with all of our medical system becoming so highly specialized is that, like you said, doctors are only looking at what they're trained to look at. So a doctor who is an endocrinologist is going to look at your thyroid and not ask questions about why the thyroid is out of control. What's going on with the thyroid? I will give you an example from my personal experience. When I had my first two children, when I gave birth to my first two children, I had to come off of most of my psychotropic drugs because most of them were not safe for pregnancy. And so I had a really rough pregnancy with both times. And then about 3 months afterwards, I got severely, severely, severely depressed both times. And so my doctor's like, we got to put you back on your medication. So I'd stop breastfeeding. They'd put me back on the medication. And as the medication built up in my system, my thyroid got out of control. I had hyperthyroid. So I felt like I told my husband both times, I'm like, I feel like I'm in high school again. I cannot eat enough food. I'm starving all the time. I lost excessive amounts of weight. I was so skinny. I looked anorexic. Yeah. And like 25 pounds below my healthy weight. And my hair was falling out like crazy. Like the first time it happened, I went to I'm super holistic generally. And I went to my midwife and she's like, oh, just, increase the fat content in your diet, no problem. But then I started like passing out, like blacking out. Like it was getting bad. And then the second time, my second baby, it got way worse. And I was afraid to get in the car because I thought, what if I black out behind the wheel? It was like really bad. So they sent me to an endocrinologist and they told me I had postpartum hyperthyroidism. And they said, we're going to watch it. We'll keep an eye on it. We're going to keep watch your levels. Generally, this corrects itself. And I asked him, I said, is it possible this is related to the medication I'm taking for my bipolar? And he said, oh, absolutely not. And I thought, okay, but logically, it seems like those have to be connected to each other because the timing of it. Yeah. And I was told, don't have any more babies. If you have another baby, it will destroy your thyroid.
Oh my goodness.
So I thought they were, that was accurate. A few years later was when I finally got off all the medications. I started healing. And so 7 years after my second child was born, my husband and I decided to try one more time to have another baby. I just didn't feel done. I wanted one more child. I did not have any issues with my thyroid that time. There were none. In fact, I had very normal. I was able to breastfeed for a year afterwards. I had very normal postpartum experience. Had to work like most women to lose the weight afterwards, Sure. And I thought I still am convinced that it had something to do with the combination of those medications with the hormone changes postpartum. Something happened in my body that made my thyroid go crazy. But the problem was that the doctor was only looking at the thyroid. He wasn't looking at any other factors. He wasn't considering any of the other issues because they're not trained to. Yeah. And so, so I wanted to ask you, because you talk about one of the questions that I saw in your, in the list of things when I was preparing was, what does your thyroid say about your overall health? What is that? It's interesting that we think of those as a discrete issue, like the thyroid. You have a problem with your thyroid without considering the overall implications for your overall health. Like, what is that actually telling you about what's going on in your body?
Well, it tells you about your metabolic rate, but people have some misconceptions there, because metabolism is every activity going on in your body all at once. And it doesn't control all of them, although every cell in your body has a thyroid hormone receptor. That's very interesting. So it's signaling that the thyroid is basically doing what it's told to do by the hypothalamus and pituitary, which have all kinds of input going in. We could talk about that part of it. The thyroid is putting out some hormones that are used in the body. It can't all be used. There's reverse T3, they call it. Thyroid is the only, T3 is the only active. Yeah, I could just go through all this stuff, but I think what's important here is you mentioned the interaction between hormone therapy and your pregnancy, and that wasn't very good. Again, it goes back to treating the symptoms. And, I want to put a plug in here for what you said about doctors not all being bad. Of course not. They signed up to help people.
Right.
But they signed up mostly for relief care. So they're there to provide relief. And relief care, there's nothing wrong with relief care. But if you're also looking for the underlying causes, conditions, your relief care will be chronic. You'll just always be on it. And by the way, if the underlying causal factors are downward spiraling, you'll need stronger medication and stronger medication and stronger medication just to get you back to normal.
Yeah.
And so that's just not our approach, And here's where the two intersect and work best together. When your downward spirals are the, chronic stress related, and they've been going on for a long time, and it just sort of keeps getting worse. And first you were self-medicating, that was fine. Then you had the 4 cups of coffee ain't getting it, or whatever it is, or the sleep medication, or the booze, or whatever. So the over-the-counter and self-medicating doesn't work. So you go to a physician, you go, doc, I got this, and so they'll be very happy, again, without looking for underlying causes and conditions much of the time, to just write you something stronger.
Yeah.
And that's relief care. And so that's okay. People are tired of suffering. I need some stronger relief care than I can get in the drugstore or wherever. And so the other thing, that's where we're perfect, because we'll come in and go, all right, here's what's really going on behind the scenes functionally. Again, hormone, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, nervous system balance, things like that. And here's what you can do to fix it. Here's the healing opportunities. Here's what you can do to fix it. That takes time. That takes healing. Healing has to occur. Healing occurs naturally because the body's really smart. Every cell in your body knows what its job is. We call this innate intelligence. So there's an innate intelligence in your body on a cellular, tissue, organ, and system level. The entire organism it seeks a healthier state. So we use that. We need time to bring that, to build all of that up, to coach all those functions up. Now, if your downward spiral is really contracted, that's why physicians are so handy and so great, because they got the heat big medicine that they can just apply and stop the downward spiral. And it can have negative, consequences, but at least they can save your life. We call it putting on the life jacket, while you're drowning. They work fine together. If you get off a plane from West Africa, Michelle, and your temperature's 105 and you have blood coming out of your eyeballs, you're not going to call your nutritionist.
Yep.
Drive-by shooting victim. Yeah, you don't call your FDN practitioner. Call them later once you get out of the hospital and you're all sewed up. Now we'll help you get healthy and wealthy and wise and all that stuff. But so they work perfectly together if you understand which backyard or playground you need to be in. And so that's the beauty of it, really. And it goes way back to, stop me because I'll just keep talking about it. It goes way back to when I first started and the people were coming in the office, and I'd be out riding my motorcycle thinking about them. I still ride all the time in the hills of Southern California. I do some of my best creative thinking there. And I wondered about these people, and they were they were climbing the ladder of the medical wall. and it wasn't the right. Well, they didn't put their ladder on the self-reliance, self-directed, diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplement. They needed their ladder on a different wall, and that wall is what we help create. We think so. Medical wall is great. Myself, I have like a bad hip because of kickboxing and wrestling, and it's just got old, and it's from all of that kicking and stuff. I have a torn labrum, blah blah blah. So I need a doctor who knows how to use stem cells to go in there and inject. A nutritionist isn't going to be doing stem cell injections.
Right.
So there's a combination that's very healthy and fine. I do think there's some corruption, probably on both sides. And I know doctors who will just lead you down the surgery path because they make the most money on surgery. It's where their bread is buttered.
Yeah.
But there are people in the health and wellness space who just say, "Oh, try this supplement, try that supplement," with no clue whether it's going to work or not. Yeah. Just hope. So we're being, you have to be careful of claims being made. Back to my law days, I'm a consumer protector.
Yeah. Well, and you kind of, one of the things that I want to go back to that you kind of quickly talked about, but I want to talk a little bit more about, is that your acronym for the 5 things, habits that people can do to help them start getting well. I heard you say it, so I want to make sure we stop there and expand on that for people. So what is the acronym, and what does it stand for, and how can that help people begin to address some of their health issues?
The acronym is DRESS, spells dress. It's kind of cute, but it came from working in the office. Even in the early days, I realized that people were coming in there 3 times a week, and I said, "Well, that's great. I'm glad you're getting your therapy. You seem to be doing better, but what are you doing at home? Because that's what matters the most." Yeah. And I said, "I don't want you to have to come in the office, believe it or not. It'd be better for you to learn what to," and that just turned into, over the years, DRES. So that's diet. What are you eating? That's probably the most controllable epigenetic factor, is what you put in your own mouth, or your kids. Diet, rest, and I don't say sleep because rest is even more important. It includes sleep and deep sleep, non-REM, various levels. Get your sleep early in the night if you can, and all this stuff. So I had to become a individualized diet expert, a sleep expert. And then E stands for exercise, which is pretty obvious. I became a personal trainer just so I'd know more about the body from that perspective, muscles and proprioception and things. So diet, rest, exercise. The 2 S's are stress reduction, and it's not just quit or divorce or spank your kids so they behave better. I got kids stories that would just blow your mind. Your audience would love them. So stress reduction is huge, and then of course there's supplementation. So DRESS, diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplementation, and that's really important because food isn't as good as it used to be. Both my grandfathers grew food, and so I know I got a lot of minerals and vitamins and essential fatty acids and antioxidants and trace elements and phytonutrients, and so all that used to be in food, and now it's not. It's dissipated. Unless you're eating pure organic, even that doesn't have much more nutrients. But it has it's what it doesn't have, why we eat organic. So you avoid the herbicides, pesticides, rodenticides, and all the other toxic things, fertilizers and stuff. So DRES says we call it dress for health success. I know it's cutesy, but it's meaningful. Yeah. And that's what we teach. I teach, investigate the HIDDEN dysfunctions and healing opportunities within those areas. Look at how they're all connected to each other. But the way out of it isn't to get out a prescription pad. I don't have one. I can't write a prescription and don't want to. Who wants another prescription? It's like the prescription is DRES, like live yourself out of what you've lived yourself into.
Yeah.
And if the downward spiral is really contracted, we have physicians to go to who can spank that thing, and be something to feel better for what. So you can get out of the woods, get on your feet, get out of the the deep end.
Yeah.
And it's really a nice combination if you think about it.